a card with the potential to bring victory. If you grew up watching the original Yu-Gi-Oh anime, you know the lore. Blue Eyes White Dragon represents absolute power. Dark Magician represents the ultimate wizardry. And Joey Wheeler's Ace Monster? The Red-Eyes Black Dragon represents potential. But in the real-life trading card game, potential is a funny thing. For over 2 decades, Konami has desperately tried to figure out what to do with this iconic monster. The result? A confusing, chaotic, and often hilarious competitive history. Red-Eyes never dominated the meta as a pure archetype, but its name has been attached to some of the most format-warping, broken, and downright obnoxious cards in the history of Yu-Gi-Oh! Grab a seat and let's take a look at the real-life story of the ultimate underdog, Red-Eyes Black Dragon. To understand the tragedy of Red-Eyes, we have to go all the way back to the beginning Legend of Blue Eyes White Dragon in 2002. From day one, the math simply wasn't on Joey's side. Red-Eyes Black Dragon is a level 7 monster with 2,400 attack points. In the early days of Yu-Gi-Oh!, summoning a level 7 monster required 2 tributes. Why is this a problem? Because in the exact same era, you could play Summon Skull, a level 6 monster that only required 1 tribute but boasted 2,500 attack points. Objectively speaking, Red-Eyes was a mathematical failure right out of the booster pack. It was a worse version of a card that was cheaper to summon. While Blue Eyes White Dragon at least had the biggest body in the game to justify its massive cost, Red-Eyes was virtually unplayable in any competitive setting. The potential was there, but the stats were completely backwards. For years, Red-Eyes sat in trade binders. But everything changed in 2008 with a Shonen Jump promo that would permanently alter the trajectory of Dragon-type monsters in Yu-Gi-Oh! Enter Red-Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon. By simply banishing 1 dragon you control, you could special summon this monster from your hand. Once per turn, it could revive or special summon any dragon from your hand or graveyard. This card was absolutely absurd. Suddenly, Red-Eyes was a name feared across the competitive scene. It became the backbone of legendary strategies like Hopeless Dragon and Disaster Dragon, and it remained a staple in Dragon Link decks well into the modern era. But here is the ultimate irony: it didn't make Red-Eyes decks good. It made every other dragon deck good. The best Red-Eyes card in the game actively ignored its own archetype to support better dragons. It was Joey Wheeler carrying Seto Kaiba's luggage. Fast forward to 2015. Konami releases Clash of Rebellions, and it is finally time for Red-Eyes to get the dedicated archetype support it always deserved. Dark Magician got control tools, Blue Eyes got explosive synchro support. So, what was the mechanical identity of the Red-Eyes deck? The answer? Yes. Konami threw absolutely everything at the wall, and none of it stuck together. If you tried to build a pure Red-Eyes deck, you were suffering from a massive identity crisis. They had cards focused on inflicting burn damage. They made the retrains Gemini monsters, meaning you had to normal summon them twice just to get their effects. They had equipped spells inspired by the anime, fusions, Xyzs, and rituals. The deck tried to do everything at once. The deck was a disjointed mess. However, there was one shining diamond in the rough Red-Eyes Flare Metal Dragon. This rank 7 Xyz monster couldn't be destroyed by card effects while it had material, and it burned the opponent for 500 life points every single time they activated a card or effect. It was an incredibly punishing boss monster that actually felt like a true Red-Eyes card. But once again, it was usually summoned by non-Red-Eyes decks that just happened to easily spam level 7 monsters. If you played Yu-Gi-Oh! During the pandemic, you already know where this is going. In 2020, Konami released a card that would go down in infamy. They decided to fuse Yugi's Dark Magician with Joey's Red-Eyes Black Dragon, creating Red-Eyes Dark Dragoon. It could not be targeted. It could not be destroyed by card effects. It could destroy opposing monsters and burn for their attack points. It had a built-in negate that made it gain 1,000 attack points permanently. It was one of the most oppressive boss monsters ever printed. But the real crime was how easily it hit the board. Thanks to a link monster named Predaplant Verte Anaconda, any deck that could put 2 effect monsters on the field could pay 2,000 life points to copy the effect of Red-Eyes Fusion, instantly bringing out Dragoon. Once again, Red-Eyes was at the absolute top of the competitive mountain. But it wasn't a triumph for the archetype. The original Red-Eyes Black Dragon was merely played as a Garnet, a bad card you were forced to run in your main deck just so you could summon Dragoon. Every meta player actively prayed they would never draw Joey's legendary ace because drawing it meant their broken combo was dead. When you look back at the competitive history of Red-Eyes Black Dragon, it perfectly mirrors its anime owner. It is scrappy, it is chaotic, it rarely wins cleanly on its own merits, and it is constantly overshadowed by the polished elegance of Blue Eyes White Dragon. In 2002, it was unplayable. In 2008, it broke the dragon type with Darkness Metal. In 2015, it suffered a massive identity crisis. In 2020, it became the most feared splashable engine in the game with Dragoon. Red-Eyes never got a cohesive Tier 1 meta deck of its own, but maybe it didn't need one. Across 2 decades, through weird design choices and format-breaking support cards, Red-Eyes has always found a way to creep into the highest levels of competition. It may not be the most consistent dragon, but you can never, ever deny its potential.